Welcome back to Narrations. Tonight's story returns to the magic of childhood adventure at Christmas, bigger, brighter, funnier, and more emotional than ever. It's a tale of courage in the heart of a massive city, family rediscovered, unexpected friendship, and the magic of Christmas kindness. This is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, where Kevin McCallister finds himself alone once again, but this time, in the most dazzling city in the world. Snow drifts softly across the McCallister home in Chicago just days before Christmas. Inside, the house is lit with sparkling decorations, poinsettias, wreaths, garlands, twinkling lights, and the familiar holiday chaos hums through every room. The entire family is preparing for another Christmas vacation, this time heading to sunny Florida. But Kevin McCallister, now a little older, a little wiser, and still full of imagination, is far from excited. Florida means palm trees instead of snow, rain instead of holiday sparkle, beaches instead of Christmas magic. He wants snowmen, Christmas lights, carolers, and holiday wonder. And deep down, he wants a Christmas that feels like Christmas. Tensions rise as they pack. Buzz, still the loudest and most obnoxious older brother on the planet, humiliates Kevin during the Christmas choir concert, mimicking him in front of the entire audience and sending everyone into laughter. The family blames Kevin again, disappointed once more, and Kevin explodes, furious, hurt, feeling invisible all over again. At home, the argument continues. "Why do you always blame me?" Kevin shouts, voice shaking. And Kate, exhausted and frustrated, sends him to his room, just like before. That night, Kevin lies awake staring at glowing Christmas lights outside the window. Hurt and forgotten, he whispers into the blanket, "I wish I could have my own vacation. Without any of you." Morning comes, and just like last year, chaos strikes again. They oversleep. Alarms fail. Panic erupts through the house like a storm. Everyone races wildly through the rooms, tripping over baggage, yelling directions, rushing to catch their flight. Kevin runs behind them through the airport, clutching his bag, trying desperately to keep up. At the boarding gates, the family scrambles onto the plane at the last second. Kate turns to count, but Kevin is gone. On a different side of the terminal, Kevin is chasing a man wearing the same coat as his father. He loses sight of the family and crashes into another group of travelers. His bag spills, his boarding pass flies into the crowd, and in the hurry of chaos, an airline employee mistakes him for a passenger on a different flight. Kevin steps onto the wrong plane, heading not to Florida, but to New York City. The plane lands under a brilliant winter sky, snow falling delicately over skyscrapers glittering with Christmas lights. Kevin walks through the airport with wide eyes, realizing slowly, beautifully, where he is. New York. The city of dreams. The biggest Christmas playground in the world. He steps outside into streets overflowing with music, taxis honking, carolers singing, shoppers rushing across decorated sidewalks, and giant displays glittering in storefront windows. Kevin spins slowly in the center of it all, breathless with wonder. He reaches for his bag, and in his pocket, he finds his father's wallet, mistaken in the rush. Plane tickets, ID cards, a stack of credit cards, all keys to freedom. He grins. "I'm in New York, alone. I can do anything." Kevin heads straight to the Plaza Hotel, the most luxurious place in the city, towering over Central Park with golden doors and red carpets. He walks in confidently, using his father's wallet to check into a grand suite covered in polished wood, velvet furniture, chandeliers, and a giant Christmas tree that glows like magic. Bellhops bow, staff rush to carry his luggage, and Kevin sinks into the softest bed he has ever touched, laughing with pure holiday joy. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, the McCallisters arrive in Florida, rain pounding on palm trees, gray skies swallowing the sun. Kate suddenly freezes, the familiar dread ripping through her. "Kevin!" The family gasps, stunned, devastated. Lightning splits the sky. Once again, Kevin is alone. But Kevin isn't the only familiar face in New York. Somewhere across town, escaping from a prison transport van, two figures crawl out into the snowy street, bruised, dirty, furious, and determined. Harry and Marv. The Wet Bandits. Now calling themselves the Sticky Bandits. They look around at the glittering skyline, stunned. We're in New York, Marv. The city of opportunity. Their eyes gleam with criminal ambition, unaware that the boy who once destroyed them is roaming the same streets. As Kevin explores New York, he visits the top of the Empire State Building, eats hot fudge sundaes and limousine rides, watches toy trains circle around giant Christmas displays, and stops at Duncan's Toy Chest, the most enchanting toy store he has ever seen, filled with wooden soldiers, stuffed animals, twinkling lights, and the warm smile of the store's owner, Mr. Duncan. A massive donation box sits at the counter, collecting money for a children's hospital. Mr. Duncan explains the meaning behind two small turtle-dove ornaments, a symbol of lasting friendship. If you give one to someone special, he says softly, you'll be friends forever. Kevin holds the birds carefully, not knowing yet how deeply they'll matter. Outside the store, snow falls thicker, blankets the ground white, and across the street, Kevin spots two familiar silhouettes. Two voices he hoped he'd never hear again. Harry. Marv. Shock freezes his breath. They recognize him instantly, and their faces twist into wicked grins. The chase begins, roaring footsteps slapping against icy pavement, Kevin sprinting through bustling crowds, dodging taxis, diving through alleyways, heart pounding like drums in his ears. He escapes only by slipping away into Central Park's maze of trees and frozen lakes, disappearing into the night. He collapses on a bench, breathless, frightened, realizing that this magical trip is now dangerous, that the streets around him aren't just beautiful, but unpredictable and lonely. And then, from the shadows of the park, he sees her, a woman covered in layers of dark coats, surrounded by pigeons. Silent. Alone. A figure others fear and avoid. Kevin flinches and runs into the darkness, heart racing, not yet knowing she may be the person who saves him. For the first time, the sparkling city feels cold. Kevin walks slowly through the streets lit by twinkling lights, looking up at families laughing together through windows, hands held tightly, safe and warm. The ache in his chest grows heavy, the same aching truth he learned last Christmas. Freedom feels empty without family. He stands beneath the towering Rockefeller Center tree, glowing brilliantly above the ice rink, and whispers to the sky, I want to see my family again. But before he finds them, he'll have to face the past. He'll have to become braver than he's ever been. And he'll return to the one thing he now understands is worth defending with everything he has, home, wherever that may be. Kevin stays beneath the towering Christmas tree for a long time, watching strangers glide across the ice, their laughter rising like music through the cold night air. His breath fogs in white puffs, and loneliness settles over him like a heavy winter coat. He wipes his eyes, trying to be brave, trying not to let fear swallow him whole. He starts walking again towards Central Park, snow crunching under his small shoes. The trees bend under the weight of ice and silence. But this time, he does not run from the pigeon-covered woman waiting in the shadows. Instead, he approaches quietly, cautiously, curiosity outweighing fear. She turns slowly, her face gentle and sad beneath tangled hair. Kevin apologizes for being afraid before, and she nods softly, explaining that people look at her like she doesn't belong, like she's invisible. Kevin listens, realizing he understands that feeling more than anyone knows. They sit together in the rafters of Carnegie Hall, where she sometimes sleeps unseen. The lights are dim, the hall empty and glowing gold. Kevin tells her everything, his family, the fights, the mistakes, the loneliness, the burglars, the fear of not being good enough. She listens without judgment, eyes full of quiet compassion. She shares her story too, a life once filled with love that shattered after trust was broken. She grew afraid to be hurt again, afraid to try again. So she hid herself away from the world. Kevin looks up at her, voice shaking but strong. You can't stop trying just because you're scared. You have to trust people again. Maybe they won't leave. Her eyes fill with tears. And Kevin realizes something important. Helping someone else is helping himself too. He thanks her for listening, and she smiles, a real smile, fragile and warm. They become friends in the silence of that empty hall, two lonely souls finding comfort in each other's company. But the moment doesn't last long. Through the window of the hall, Kevin spots the Wet Bandits once again, watching Duncan's toy chest, planning their next crime. He hears them whispering their plan. At midnight, they will rob the toy store, steal the Christmas charity money intended for sick children, and destroy everything inside. Anger floods Kevin's chest, fiery, fierce, determined. He cannot let them ruin Christmas. He will stop them, no matter what. He races to the Plaza Hotel, retrieves his bag of supplies, and finds the abandoned townhouse his uncle owned, a dusty wreck full of broken floors, cracked walls, loose pipes, and perfect opportunity. He transforms it into a battleground of traps far more dangerous than last year. Buckets of tools, electrified sinks, collapsing ladders, swinging wrenches, concrete bags tied to ropes, blowtorches, toxic glues, slippery oil, and dozens of booby traps brilliant enough to defend a kingdom. "This is it," he whispers. No turning back. As the clock strikes midnight, Harry and Marv break into the toy store, stuffing their bags with cash, laughing about the destruction they will leave behind. Suddenly an alarm blares, cameras flash, and Kevin's recorded voice taunts them from a distance. They chase him into the night, screaming promises of revenge. Kevin leads them straight to the abandoned townhouse. The door slams behind them, and chaos erupts. Marv climbs through a window and plummets 3 floors into the basement. Harry pulls himself through a door only to be smashed by a falling bag of cement. Ladders collapse, floors break beneath their feet, buckets swing like wrecking balls, a blowtorch scorches Harry's head again, a staple gun attacks from every direction, and every trap lands harder, louder, and funnier than the last. Kevin races through the house, laughing breathlessly as they slip, crash, fall, and scream until they are painfully unrecognizable. But despite everything, they catch Kevin outside in the snow, dragging him towards Central Park, furious and ready for revenge. Kevin trembles as they hold him tightly, unable to escape. And then, the sound of flapping wings. The pigeon woman appears, dumping buckets of birdseed over their bodies. Thousands of birds swarm down in a frenzy, pecking and clawing, overwhelming Harry and Marv in a cloud of feathers and shrieks. And sometimes, the best kind of Christmas magic is simply finding your way back to the people who matter most. If you enjoyed this narration, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Narrations, where holiday classics come alive with heart and cinematic storytelling.